Alright, so here's the problem on the bottom. Baywatch, the parent, owns 80% of Tubber, um, and the upstream sale of an equipment. So on January 6th, Baywatch bought from Tubber equipment for $270,000, which Tubber had originally bought on January 3rd for $300,000. So let's figure out first depreciation for both. So originally, when Tubber bought it, depreciation was over 15 years, which gives us $20,000 per year. And now, 3 years later, the parent has bought it for 270, and since it's 3 years later, there's 12 years remaining. That gives us depreciation that the parent will record ongoing for the next 12 years. Okay, so now let's make our actual and recorded columns. And adjustment column. Now we're going to have one for each debit and credit. That way we can kind of see it. And we're going to have one for each year, starting with January 06 and going 1 year every after. So January X6, and then 1 year later would be December X6, and December X7, and December X8. And we're going to have an actual and recorded for equipment, and also the accumulated depreciation. Okay. Now let's figure out the actual. Now remember, for the actual column, we are gonna look at the original line. So for the actual equipment, we should have a debit for 300,000 every year because it's the accumulated depreciation combined with the actual equipment column that shows us the book value. So it'll always be 300,000. Accumulated depreciation is the original line again. So $20,000 per year, and now we're at 3 years later, so that's $60,000. 4 years later will be $80,000. 5 years, $100,000, and 6 years, $120,000. Remember, we're looking for actual. We're looking at the original line, and this actual should be what the consolidated should show. Now, recorded, we look at the purchase line, which is what's being recorded currently on the parent's book. Now they're recording $22,500 depreciation per year, and they're recording $270,000 as the purchase as the value of the equipment. So we have 270, what the equipment will always be recorded as. I'm sorry, this should be a credit. Okay. Dear God. Okay. And now, with the recorded depreciation is being recorded is at 22,500 per year. So, but here it'd be zero because the dates on January '06 and January '06 are the same, and that's when they bought it. So when they bought it, they did not record any depreciation on that day. But in 1 year later, they would have recorded 22,500. 2 years later, it would have been 45,000, and 3 years later, it would be 67,500. Now, let's look at something here. Now, we haven't calculated gain yet. I think we should do that now. So, first we need a book value on the date of the purchase, which is January '06. So, the book value on January '06 is right here, which is 300 minus 60 accumulated depreciation. So, the book value on January '06 is $240,000, which gives us a gain of $30,000 divided by 12 years that we have remaining on that purchase date, which gives us $2,500 of extra depreciation. Now, this gain, when we bought it on January '06, was going to be deferred because it's not a realized gain because this is a intercompany transfer. Now this gain is going to be reversed. $2,500 is going to be reversed every year. So this is how the $2,500 works. It actually is subtracted from this box. Now if the problem wanted elimination entries for December '07, it would be subtracted from this box. If it wanted for December '06, it would be subtracted from this box. But since they want December '08, we'll do it from the last box. So what you do is you take this 2,500 and you subtract it from over here, which gives you 65,000. Now we'll explain that in a little bit, but let's just mark that right now. So we have subtracted $2,500 from that box. Now let's do our adjustments. And the adjustments, remember, we want to go from here to here for both, for the building and for the, oh my god, for the building and for the accumulated depreciation. We're only going to worry about '08. So we need a debit to equipment for $30,000, and we need to credit accumulated depreciation for $55,000. Those are the adjustments that we need to make. So let's start our elimination entry on December of '08, and we're going to have investment in Tubber, NCI, in net assets of Tubber because it's an upstream sale. Now here we have a debit to a building, so we're going to have a debit building, and here we have a credit to accumulated depreciation. We'll fill these in first, so we know debit and credit. 55,000, and 30,000, which are the amounts that we're adjusting right there. Now, for this remaining, we're just gonna figure out what the plug is, and that's 25,000, and we're gonna appropriate that 80% and 20%. Now, the 25,000 is the amount that has to be still deferred. So 20,000 and 5,000. Now, since originally we were supposed to record $20,000 depreciation, but we have been recording $22,500 depreciation, we have to eliminate $2,500 depreciation. And since when you book depreciation it's a debit, to eliminate we need to have a credit. So let's have a credit to depreciation expense for 2,500, and we need to credit accumulated depreciation. I mean debit accumulated depreciation for 2,500. Now this is what I adjusted here when I had debited, when I had removed 2,500 from 67,500 earlier. And that gives us our elimination entry. Any questions? Feel free to call me.